Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and greetings everyone. So we are from group 6 and for our client we choose Datuk Jamaluddin Jajis. So without further ado, I will start our presentation. So first up, we look into his personal information. So as we all know, Datuk Jamaluddin Jajis, he is 42 years old. He was a Malaysian politician, diplomat, and Minister of Science, Technology and Innovation. He was chairman of the One Malaysia People's Housing, Prima, and Malaysian Special Envoy to the United States, and also a member of Parliament for Rompin. He was married to a dentist. Her name is Puan Sri Dr. Kalsum Ismail. She is a dentist and renowned hardliner. They have 3 children. They have Datuk Jamaluddin Jaji have 3 siblings, and he is the first child and 2 sisters.
My name is Aini Shakira binti Zamani, and now I will start to explain about the first section of Tan Sri Jamaluddin Jaji's financial planning, which is cash flow. So for the first issue occurred about high outflows relative to inflow, which is Tan Sri Jamaluddin's annual outflow of 750,163 ringgit exceed his inflows of 715,200, resulting in a shortfall of 34,663 ringgit. So this is unsustainable. Kalsum has a surplus, but the household still faces a deficit. So the solution is Tan Sri Jamaluddin should establish a detailed budget, focusing on essential expenses and reducing non-essential spending by 50%. For the second issue is about transportation costs. So high vehicle costs are a concern. So annual costs for his vehicle, which is Velfire and BMW X2, are 9,049 ringgit and 11,204 ringgit respectively. The solution that we can advise him is to consider more fuel efficient or hybrid vehicle to reduce petrol costs. The next issue is about high medical takaful. Tan Sri Jamaluddin's medical takaful cost is about 50,000 annually, a significant portion of total outflow. So the solution is to review the medical takaful policy to ensure it matches actual needs and consider takaful MyClip Medi Plus for affordable coverage. The next issue is about high cost of housing. So, Puan Sri Kalsum spends 326,133 ringgit annually on maintaining the penthouse in Bangsar, causing financial strain. So, the solution for her is to implement energy saving measures to reduce utility bills and increase house rent from 4,000 ringgit to 4,800.
Next, we will look into the network. So in this part, we have 4 issues. So we will look into the first one. So the first one is non-compliant investment. So Nadi shares in non-Sharia compliant assets violate Islamic financial principles, prohibiting interest, excessive uncertainty, and investment in haram industries. So we advise Tan Sri Jamaluddin that he should withdraw principal from Nadi shares and reinvest in Sharia compliant alternatives such as Sukuk, with non-Sharia compliant profits going to Wakaf school. The second issue is high liabilities relative to assets. So in this case, the total liabilities amount to 7,209,000 ringgit, a significant portion of the total assets, indicating a lower net worth and a high level of debt, especially in property-related loans. So we advise Tan Sri Jamaluddin Jadis that he need to prioritize paying off high interest debt such as credit card debt and car loans. In this way, he can reduce the overall interest burden. The third issue is insufficient diversification of investment. So a significant portion of the investment asset is tied up in properties and specific company shares. While property can be a good investment, it lacks liquidity and diversification. So we advise him to maintain a higher proportion of investment in liquid asset that can be easily converted to cash in case of emergencies. For example, he can invest more in public mutual berhad Islamic unit trust. Last issue is high value in depreciating assets. So they own high value depreciating assets such as Velfire and BMW X2. These vehicles lose value over time and do not generate income. So we advise Tan Sri Jamuddin and his wife that they need to consider the necessity of owning both high value vehicles. They can change that to another car since the children already have their own car. Next, we will look into the ratio. So in this part, we have four issues as well. So we will look into the first one. So the first one is heavily on debt to finance asset. So Tan Sri Jamaluddin as higher solvency ratio suggests debt reliance, while Puan Sri Kalsum lower ratio suggests less reliance. So both of them need to optimize financial strategies for growth. So we advise them that for Tan Sri Jamuddin, he should reduce debt to lower solvency ratio, while Puan Sri Kalsum should leverage asset effectively, align with risk tolerance, and manage debt responsibly. Responsibly. Responsible. Sorry. The second issue is high leverage indicates significant reliance on debt. So this one, Puan Sri Kalsum has high gearing ratio and Tan Sri Jamuddin moderate ratio suggests significant financial risk, necessitating efforts to reduce debt levels to financial stability. We advise them that Tan Sri Jamuddin should focus on debt repayment, while Puan Sri Kalsum should address high leverage by reducing debt, restructuring it, and increasing her asset base through investments. So the third issue is over concentrate in low return assets. We found that Puan Sri Kalsum and Tan Sri Jamaluddin has high liquidity ratios, suggests over concentration in liquid assets, requiring uh, reassessment of financial goals, diversification, and increased emergency fund. So we advise Tan Sri Jamaluddin that he should enhance his liquidity ratio by increasing liquid assets or reducing monthly expense, while Puan Sri Kalsum should invest excess liquid asset in high yield opportunities. The final issue is unsustainable high debt repayments. So in this case, Tan Sri Jamaluddin and Puan Sri Kalsum high debt repayment ratios indicate over leverage and financial risk. They need to reassess their financial situation and develop a plan to reduce their debt burden. So we advise them that individuals should reduce monthly debt obligations by consolidating high interest debt, negotiating lower rates, and extending repayment periods while increasing income through work or investment returns can alleviate debt repayment burden.
Next, I will further explain credit card issues and recommendation. First issues is inconsistent payment pattern. The payment amount are inconsistent with some month having no payment and other month having high payment. This inconsistency can lead to higher balances and profit charges. We advise to Tan Sri Jamaluddin Judges can set automate payment to ensure consistent payment schedule and avoid missed payment. Second issues is high usage despite a high opening balance. Starting with a high opening balance of 12,000, there are significant usage each month. This suggests high reliance on the credit card for expenses. We suggest to Tan Sri Jamaluddin Judges to reduce reliance on the credit card by using cash or debit for everyday purchases. This will help control spending and avoid increasing credit card balance. Third issues is high profit charges. The profit rate of 13.5% result in significant profit charges, particularly when the balance is high. For instance, in month 1, a profit charge of RM139.50 was added, which can accumulate quickly over time. We suggest to Tan Sri Jamaluddin Judges to pay more than the minimum payment to reduce the outstanding balance. Fourth issues is occasional large purchases. There are occasional large purchases, example RM750 in month 8 for shopping impact the closing balance and incur higher profit charges. So we recommend to Tan Sri Jamaluddin to plan and save for large expenses in advance rather than using the credit card. So if large purchases are necessary, ensure to use credit card with good rewards or cashback options to offset some of the costs. Next, I will pass to the next presenter.
Next slide is about tax section.
So for the first issue for the tax is high tax liability for Tan Sri Jamaluddin. So Tan Sri Jamaluddin's tax liability is high, which is 19,940 ringgit due to his substantial total income of 780,000 and limited deduction of 24,500. So the solution is Tan Sri Jamaluddin should explore additional tax relief and deductions, contributing more to approved charities, investing in tax-efficient vehicles, or using government tax incentive can help to reduce taxable income for him. The second issue is underutilization of tax deduction for Kalsom. For Sri Kalsom, total deduction are 13,000, which is low relative to her total income of 408,000. She may have missed claiming some deductible expenses. So, what we can suggest for her is to review her expenses to ensure all eligible deductions are claimed, and this includes additional insurance premiums and relevant tax relief, and keeping detailed records can help her. For the third issue is insufficient zakat contribution. Both have made zakat contribution 60,000 for Jamaluddin and 30,000 for Kalsom, but this could be optimized to reduce their tax liability further. So, the solution for them is to calculate eligible zakat contribution more precisely based on total wealth and income. Increasing zakat contribution can reduce tax payable and fulfill religious obligation. Consulting a zakat expert or using online calculation will help them. For the fourth issue is tax shortfall and refund management. So Tan Sri Jamaluddin has a tax shortfall of 59,940 ringgit, and Kalsom has a shortfall of 29,900. This indicates that their monthly scheduled tax deduction, or known as STD, is not covering the actual tax liability. So what we can suggest for them is to adjust their monthly scheduled tax deduction to better match annual tax liabilities. And they have to estimate annual income more accurately and ensure monthly deduction align with expected annual tax payable. And also, consulting a tax professional for adjustment can avoid large shortfall and penalties. Next slide is about zakat. So the first issue in the zakat planning of Tan Sri Jamaluddin is incomplete zakat payment. Tan Sri Jamaluddin owes 3,126 ringgit, and Puan Sri Kalsom owes 431 ringgit in zakat after their initial payment, indicating a shortfall. So the solution for them is to ensure accurate and full payment of zakat annually, review calculation periodically, and use automated payment system or reminders to avoid the shortfalls. The second issue is regarding potential overlooked deduction for zakat on income. So some allowable deduction or exemptions may be overlooked in their zakat on income calculation. So the solution is to review the full list of allowable deductions, including additional dependents and education expenses. For non-Sharia compliant income from Nadi shares investment, identify and purify the percentage from non-compliant sources to maintain financial integrity and fulfill religious obligation. Next issue is calculation of zakat on wealth. So the issue is the zakat on wealth calculation may not account for all assets and liabilities affecting the zakatable amount. So the solution is conduct a comprehensive review of all asset and liability to ensure accurate zakatable wealth. Regular audits of financial portion can help them to maintain accurate records and correct zakat payment. Next issue is maximizing zakat efficiency. There may be opportunities to structure finances to optimize zakat obligation while fulfilling religious duty. So what we can suggest is to consider financial planning strategy aligned with zakat obligation, explore timing of asset acquisition and disposal, charitable giving strategies, or investing in zakat eligible instruments.
Next, we will look into the risk planning, which is we already examine and analyze the risk when Datuk Jamaluddin Jajis and Puan Sri Dr. Kasum died. So without further ado, we will look into the risk planning for Datuk Jamaluddin Jajis. So here, as you can see, we already put 4 issues. So we look into the first issue. The first issue is significant annual expenses. So Puan Sri Dr. Kasum lower annual expense indicate a simpler lifestyle compared to Datuk Jamaluddin, but they still need to adequate coverage to sustain these expenses. So our advice to them is that Puan Sri Dr. Kasum should continue to manage and possible further reduce discretionary expense to ensure long-term financial stability. Next, we look into the second issue, which is existing high liabilities. So the primary concern is ensuring that liabilities are covered in the event of her death. So our advice, Puan Sri Dr. Kasum should ensure that any large liabilities that are either paid off or adequately issued against. So next we look into issue number 3, shortfall in takaful coverage. So here the existing insurance and takaful coverage do not fully address the required sum to cover her needs in the case of her passing. So our advice is like similar to Datuk Jamaluddin Jajis, she needs to increase her takaful or life insurance coverage to cover the shortfall effectively. So finally, we go to the final issue, which is dependency on spousal income. This we explain that Puan Dr. Sri Kasum, her financial stability is closely tied to Datuk Jamaluddin Jajis' financial contributions, including home, investment, and other assets. So our advice that she need to explore options for generating additional income streams independently of Datuk Jamaluddin Jajis' primary income source, such as investment with an income or business venture. Next, we will look into the risk planning to Datuk Jamaluddin Jajis if his wife, Puan Sri Dr. Kasum died. So here, we already put 4 issues. So we look into the first one. So the first one is excessive vehicle and lifestyle goals. So the current expenses structure is unsustainable without a high income or substantial capital, especially in Datuk Jamaluddin absence. So we advise that he should consider reducing discretionary expenses, particularly those related to luxury items and services. This includes reassessing the necessity of the bodyguard and high vehicle costs. Second issue is high annual expense. So Datuk Jamaluddin Jajis adjusted annual expense after Puan Sri Dr. Kasum death remains significantly high at RM 624,864. So we advise that he should prioritize paying off liability or ensure they are covered by adequate insurance to reduce financial strain in the event of death. Next, we look into the third issue, which is lack of comprehensive risk management. So Datuk Jamaluddin Jajis' plan does not seem to account for potential health issues or disability, which could prevent him from maintaining his current income levels or managing in his high expenses. So we advise him to establish a robust emergency fund that can cover at least 6 to 12 months of expenses, providing a financial cushion against unexpected events or income disruption. Last but not least, shortfall in cover coverage, same as points related to Kasum. So the existing insurance coverage is insufficient to cover the expected shortfall in case of Datuk Jamaluddin Jaji's death. So we encourage him to mitigate the shortfall and increase his takaful or life insurance coverage to align more closely with the calculated needs. Next, we will look into the education part, which is their daughter Adila. So this part where we provided education planning for Adila futures reference. So here we put 4 issues. So we look into the first one. The first one is insufficient preparedness for funding children's higher education. So basically the family needs 230,600 for Adila's education, but may face underfunding due to fluctuating returns and a lack of a structured saving plans. So we advise Datuk Jamaluddin Jajis and Puan Sri Dr. Kasum that they should implement Sharia compliant savings and investment strategies such as Mudarabah accounts, unit trusts, and Sukuk to meet Adila's future education needs. Next issue is reliance on conservative return rates. So basically, the conservative 6th annual return on the education fund may not adequately cover future education costs due to the projected 5% inflation and potential underperformance. So we encourage them to invest in Sharia compliant equity for higher returns in education funds, align with family risk appetite, and regularly rebalance portfolio for asset growth potential. The third issue is risk of insufficient monthly contributions. This is the serious one where we analyze and suggest that monthly investment of 5,862 for future education funding, but this will be challenging for her to maintain due to unexpected expenses or income instability. So we encourage the parents that they should build an education fund that involves gradually increasing monthly contribution using bonuses, tax refund, and automatic transfer into a Sharia compliant account for consistent savings. Last but not least, limited contingency planning for adverse scenarios. So the current plan lack of contingency plan for potential financial disruption, and it will posing a risk to the education saving goals or potentially delaying it. So we advise that they should create Sharia compliant emergency fund, invest in income protection, and regularly review the plan to ensure the family can save for education even with financial disruptions.
Next, I will further explain Hajj planning issues and recommendation. First issues is timing and age consideration. The planning does not consider the impact of the age on the ability to invest and take risks. As Tan Sri Jamaluddin and Puan Sri Kasum get older, their risk tolerance and ability to make large contribution may decrease. We suggest to Tan Sri Jamaluddin and his wife can gradually shift the investment portfolio towards more conservative investment as they approach the age-performing Hajj. This helps preserve capital and reduce exposure to market volatility. Second issues is cost estimates and inflation. The cost estimate for the Hajj trip are set a static value RM1,000 for each individual without accounting for potential inflation over the years. We suggest to them that they need to periodically review and update the cost estimates to reflect current market condition and ensure all the estimates remain realistic. For instance, if we assume an annual inflation rate 3%, the cost for Hajj trip will increase each year. Third issue is shortfall analysis. The shortfall between the account balance and the cost for the Hajj is significant, RM149,448.34. This indicates that the current savings and return are insufficient to meet the target. So we advise to Tan Sri Jamaluddin and his wife must continuously monitor the savings and investment growth. So the calculation suggests annual contribution of RM11,881.80 or monthly contribution RM962.43 for both individuals for combined. Fourth issue is investment return assumption. The return rate for the investment are assumed to be fixed 5%. This assumption might be optimistic depending on the market conditions. We suggest to Tan Sri Jamaluddin Judges and his wife can invest in a diversified portfolio to manage risk and potentially achieve higher returns. We suggest him to invest in CIMB Islamic Term Investment Account I because high return and no placement fee. They can pay more than the monthly payment in Tabung Haji. Next, I will further explain investment planning issues and recommendation. First issue is diversification. Tan Sri Jamaluddin investment are to concentrate in a few high-risk assets, especially Bitcoin and company shares. This makes the portfolio vulnerable to big losses if those investments perform poorly. We advise to Tan Sri Jamaluddin to reduce the weight of high-risk investment like Bitcoin and company shares to limit exposure and potential loss. We suggest Tan Sri Jamaluddin Judges to give 20% from his Bitcoin investment, which is 76,000, to distribute in a few orphanage house as charitable purpose. Second issue is risk exposure. There is too much money in volatile investment like Bitcoin, which can cause high change in the portfolio value. This increases the overall risk of losing money. We suggest to Tan Sri Jamaluddin to regularly assess the risk profile and adjust investment to ensure they align with the risk tolerance and retirement goals. From the investment planning for Tan Sri Jamaluddin, we can observe that he is a risk-taking investor because he knows that high risk, high return in Bitcoin and other investment company shares. Third issue is liquidity. The portfolio includes assets that might not be easily liquidated, example, company shares. Some investment like company shares may be hard to sell quickly if cash is needed. We suggest to Tan Sri Jamaluddin to withdraw 1/3 of his EPF account to invest in a gold bar because it is more liquid. From his salary, he was able to withdraw 209,700 ringgit to buy a gold bar. In addition, the price of buying gold bar in the future can be higher. That is the reason Tan Sri Jamaluddin need to invest from now. Fourth issue is return optimization. The current investment mix might not be earning the best possible return. We advise to Tan Sri Jamaluddin to regularly rebalance the portfolio to maintain the desired asset allocation and optimize return. We suggest that Tan Sri Jamaluddin can withdraw 30% from his share in Alpine Motion Sdn Bhd, which is 90,000, to sponsor selected students to further study in overseas. That's all from me. Next, I will pass to the next presenter.
Next slide is retirement. So the first issue is inflation impact on retirement income. So the retirement income of Tan Sri Jamaluddin charges needed has been projected considering a 5% inflation rate. However, inflation rates can fluctuate, leading to potential underestimation of future income needs. So the solution is to create a more conservative plan accounting for higher potential inflation rates. Periodically review and adjust the retirement plan to reflect current inflation trends. For Sharia compliant investment, we suggest investing in physical gold as a hedge against inflation and economic uncertainty. Next issue is inadequate funding gap coverage. The funding gap using the capital liquidation method is 6,987 ringgit. 6,987,471 ringgit and 12,276,609 ringgit for the capital intact method. This indicates that their current savings and investment are insufficient. So the solution is to increase contributions to retirement saving accounts like EPF, and they have to adjust their budget to allocate more towards saving or seek higher return investment. Regularly review investment performance and make necessary adjustment. Explore alternative investment such as private equity, hedge funds, or commodities for diversification. For Sharia compliant investment, invest in stock of company that comply with Sharia principle. Next issue is contributions and growth. The projected future value of the EPF contribution is significant but still insufficient to over the required retirement fund. So what we suggest is to maximize EPF contributions to the allowable limit to take full advantage of compounding growth, and explore additional retirement accounts or investment option offering higher returns considering associated risks. Last but not least, for the issues of the retirement is investment strategy and returns. So the current investment strategy assumes a 7% rate of return. If the actual rate of return is lower, it will result in a larger funding gap. So the solution is to diversify the investment portfolio to balance risk and return. Include a mix of equities, bonds, real estate and other investment vehicles. Invest in more liquid investment securities to ensure easy withdrawal in case of unexpected risk during retirement, making their goals more stable with potentially higher returns. So that's all from my part. I will pass to the next presenter.
Next, I will further explain estate planning issues and recommendation. First issues is allocation of investment asset. Tan Sri Jamaluddin investment assets include significant holding in shares, savings account and unit trust and others asset. However, investing zero contribution in gold bar. We advise to Tan Sri Jamaluddin that he can plan for future investment by identifying emerging markets or sectors that could offer higher returns. For instance, investment in gold bar is high liquidity and can be used for contribution in estate planning. Second issues is estate distribution and faraid compliance. The distribution of the estate is complex and there might be issues ensuring the fair application of faraid laws, especially considering the significant assets involved. We use estate planning tools such as trusts or wills to ensure a fair and equitable distribution according to the wishes to the deceased. This also can help minimizing family disputes and ensuring the vulnerable heirs are adequately provided for. We suggest that Tan Sri Jamaluddin create will in Amanah Raya consultant and appoint As-Salihin Trustee Berhad as a trustee of the wills. The advantage of having will is he can secure his wealth to ensure it is distributed smoothly. In the will, Tan Sri Jamaluddin judges can give 30% of his net estate value to Yayasan Wakaf Malaysia for a charitable purpose and the rewards continue after he dies. Third issues is matrimonial asset and net estate value. The net estate value of Tan Sri Jamaluddin and Puan Sri Kasum changes significantly with the inclusion of matrimonial assets and takaful proceeds. This indicate the potential complexities in the valuation and distribution of this asset. We suggest to Tan Sri Jamaluddin and Puan Sri Kasum must ensure that all matrimonial assets are clearly documented and valued. We suggest to Tan Sri Jamaluddin to prepare inheritance distribution portion correctly for his family to avoid conflict in the future. For instance, during life, Tan Sri Jamaluddin has informed to will trustee management that if he dies, Puan Sri Kasum eligible to receive 50% from his wealth as a matrimonial asset. Fourth issues is liability management. Both Tan Sri Jamaluddin and Puan Sri Kasum have substantial liabilities, especially related to properties and tax. Tan Sri Jamaluddin liabilities are particularly high, impact his net estate value significantly. Fourth issues is liabilities management. Both Tan Sri Jamaluddin and Puan Sri Kasum have substantial liabilities, especially related to properties and tax. Tan Sri Jamaluddin liabilities are particularly high, impact his net estate value significantly. So we advise to Tan Sri Jamaluddin and Puan Sri Kasum that they must develop structured plan to reduce risk interest debt such as credit cards and loans. So this can achieve by prioritizing payment on higher interest debt and exploring refinancing option for lower rates. In addition, they must ensure adequate takaful coverage to pay off debts and liability. So this can protect the estate from being diminished by debts and ensuring that heirs receive their rightful shares. Thank you.